This is our last piece. We have to be pretty creative here to do a fake out. Okay? There's no stopping now. When you determine where is going to be your start and finish, I will just give you a little advice that I forgot to give before. On the first piece, please be sure to leave the edge that will join with the last piece free and open. So I just glued this so it comes off easy. But after 6 hours of wallpapering, if you should glue this down, it's going to be very hard to cut out when you do your fake out, okay? So just leave it freestanding. Okay, so let's trim this down. Okay, do we have any? So I'm still considering bringing this over here. Okay. Looking to see. As you see me moving the wall covering back and forth here, what I'm trying to do is to figure out where to cut the wallpaper through and through, where to do a splice. You can see this is quite a challenge here. We are dealing with literally 100 connecting pieces above the doorway. Each of those black bars represents at least two connections, the top of the bar and the bottom. Not to mention that you have gold right above it. And so it's quite a challenge on a geometric pattern such as this. What you want to do is to take a look at how the wall covering looks overlapped. It's even better if you can see through it, which was the case here. I can actually see through it. What I'm trying to do here is to see where I can zigzag cut or perhaps straight cut my pattern so that it looks like it belongs. The last thing you want is for the homeowner or one of their guests to say, "What happened over the doorway?" And so we try to do our best. Let's go back to the video to make it look like it belongs there, okay? Okay, so you see this circle? We got one here too. But it's cut off, so we can't use that. Okay? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep my bold lines matching. What do you guys think of this? Watch this. Now, as you cut, you have to take it away so you can see what you're looking at. Okay? Now, you see how we exposed that? You see how that kind of goes there? We have black on black, okay? Not bad. Okay? I like it so far. Now, we gotta cut around that circle. We gotta have a sharp blade. I got a scalding hot chandelier on my back. I mean, this is a serious challenge, in case you were interested. Okay, now let's go around the circle, huh? Let's cut some gold into it. Okay. Again, we got this matching black line. Oh yeah, I like that. I like it. How about that? Okay. Now, what do you folks at home think so far? I don't like this. I'm not crazy about that. So let's try. Be careful here. I want to trim this. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to trim that black line down. Okay, so all I'm going to do is take this up. Yep. Okay, see how we're trying to join lines here? So she doesn't look silly. Okay, very good. I'm happy with that. I am happy with that. Okay. I'm happy with that. Come on, baby. Okay. Now. What do you think, folks? Let's do a horizontal line here. Okay. I don't want to violate that diamond colored thing. I don't want to do that. Ow! Oh, I just got burned.
I decided to leave that part of the video intact. Initially, I thought I would edit that out. But we're working 12 feet in the air, both of us, my helper and I. And he was not only holding the camera up close, but he was holding a 12 light chandelier about 6 inches away from my back. But as he was holding it, his hand grew tired and my back was the casualty. I could actually hear tss. I was perspiring so much that high in the air because there was very little airflow in this bathroom. And I could literally hear the perspiration on my shirt sizzle when that light burned me. So I left it in here for your entertainment. I hope you found it a little funny.
Although, okay, no, that wouldn't be silly. Okay, let's bring it over here. Bring it over to there. Okay, now we'll come down this line. Okay, so let's take this away. This is what we have. Oh. Okay.
For those of you who may be new to my channel, just stopping by for the first time, if you don't understand what I'm doing here, I'm joining my last sheet of wallpaper with the first. You may say, I don't understand. I never saw this before. When you hang wallpaper in a room that has a pattern, which most wall coverings do, most do, many don't, but most wall coverings have a pattern. When you hang the first sheet, eventually you come around the room and hang the last sheet up against the first, right? When you do that, unless you have a miracle, and by the way, the next room that I did in this house, I must tell you, we had that miracle. And I will show you the next video that you see me publish. That bathroom had a miracle match. The last sheet fit with the first sheet perfectly. And there was no mismatch whatsoever. There was no need to do what's called fake out. Getting back to explaining what I'm doing here. When you have a pattern, you have to choose a point in the room at which you begin to hang the paper. When you start hanging, eventually you come around and join the end to the beginning. Think about that. Now you understand what I'm doing. So when you come to the end, you overlap the last piece over the first. And then you pull it up and you look to see where you might be able to join images such as flowers or whatever. In this case, I'm joining lines and circles. You see how I had to cut around this circle here? This was a huge challenge. Let's get back to the video. I apologize for all of the sound effects. Please remember that we are 12 feet in the air. And we're on this ladder for over half an hour, cutting out all of these shapes. And it's a real nail biter. I mean, this is where you either make or break your installation right here. So it's exciting, but it's also very tense. And so the reason for all of the sound effects of me grunting is because I don't want to make a mistake by not applying enough pressure into these cuts. I have failed enough times by not applying enough pressure to know I have to really cut through 2 layers of wool covering as I'm coming around curves. And so that's why you have all of that noise. I apologize in advance. I decided to leave the actual footage and leave the audio intact, just so you get an idea what I put into this when I'm up there on this ladder. As you know, it's not easy, but look at how it's coming out.
We're gonna keep our pattern.
Now, for those of you who are out there wondering, yeah, but it looks good, but I can see that the lines don't match up. You wait and see.
All right.
This got perfected.
Almost there. Almost there. Let's leave this one in place.
you can see where the wall covering I'm cutting is somewhat see-through. You see where my finger is pointing on the wall right there? I was able to see the very bold black lines behind the wall, the top of the wallpaper, what I'm cutting. You can see right there, it's transparent, so I'm following that circle. You won't have that advantage in many of your fake out projects. I had an advantage here, and so I took it full advantage to use those bold lines to cut around them. In fake out, you have to do whatever you can to make it look right, which includes, in my opinion, taking the time to do it to the real best of your ability. Wait till you see how this looks after all of this effort. I tell you, it really looked like it belonged there, although you may not think it right now. I'm almost there. Just have a little patience so we can both enjoy the final effect.
Okay, let's see how we did. Okay. Okay. Okay, folks. That, as easy as it may have looked, is not easy. Now with the help of color pencils, I will fill in. I'll perfect it with filling in here and there, but please let me know what you think. I mean, this is a difficult one. This is probably the most difficult one I've ever done. Because it's a geometric pattern, and so all of those shapes. Now I'm just going to remove the sheet here very carefully and remove my excess pieces. Now that our fake out has had a time to dry overnight, 12 hours later or more, so we come back to it to address the minor imperfections so that we can make it look really good. And this is your finishing touch as the wallpaper man. And this is your finishing touch on the surface.
So many of us wallpaper hangers carry with us several different colors of paint. Certainly all of the basics: black, white, red, blue, green. And we keep them in small plastic containers so they don't dry out prematurely. But in this case, I needed to match this white. And so I went to Lowe's, which is a large box store, for those of you who don't know. And I have a color sensor that I simply put on the color I'm looking to match, and then it tells me what color it is. And so I bring that to the store. They actually have a more accurate color sensor. So if you find yourself in this situation, take the wallpaper with you to the store and say, can you give me this white? Now you have to pick the right sheen. And what I mean by sheen is either it's flat, not shiny, or a little shiny would be satin, or a lot shiny would be semi-gloss. Because if you get the right color and the wrong sheen, you're going to see it. The light will hit a mismatch in sheen very dramatically. And so you want to have the right sheen. If you don't know, the people usually at the store will be able to tell you what sheen that you need.
La dee 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 dee. I love wallpaper. Oh yes. Okay. Looking good. Okay, very nice. I like it so far. I love making things look good. I feel like putting a happy little tree there. Yeah. You know, there's something to be said about loving what you do. Really. It really makes it worth it when you love what you do. I don't think most of my viewers know that I was a police officer for 20 years. But it's true. Up in New York. And I stopped loving that, you know, and I had to go. You gotta love what you do. Now I love this. Okay. For those of you who don't know, I have a fear of heights, so that's why I'm very slow on ladders. I mean, I don't like the idea of falling off a ladder. Okay, so I go very slowly, like you see me doing here. Okay, very nice. Very nice. And you need good eyes with this. What I suggest that many of you get is a tool that I have that's out of my truck right now, and that is a headlamp that goes on your head. And the reason for that is because you know that you're working in less than favorable light conditions most of the time, unlike the one now where I have a light right on the job. And you need extra light, and there's no better place to have it than coming right from the area near your eyes. So I suggest that. It's a suggestion. I really like it. Okay.
Without exaggeration, my helper and I were in far better spirits the next day because the climate was significantly different, both outside and inside of the house, particularly in this bathroom, which was literally about 80 degrees when I did the fake out the day before. Not to mention the fact that I had a chandelier right next to me, burning my skin because the chandelier is closer to the doorway than it should be. Maybe the electrician wasn't thinking when he installed it or engineered the layout when he put it in. Whatever the case, it burned me several times. And so today, recovering from my burn on my back, feeling better, I was in a better mood, as you can see. What I'm doing here is applying the colors. Where you saw earlier in the video, a little more black than we should have, a little more white, or we had to add a little white. Well, that's what I'm doing in this video right now. This is the art of wallpaper, right here. This is what your grandmother did. This is what your mother did. This is what my mother did. For those of you who don't know, some of you do. You've been with me since the beginning of my YouTube channel. My mother taught me how to wallpaper when I was about 16 years old. And it was a basic crash course. We're going to hang the Sanitas. It was very good vinyl. And back in those days, they left that stuff up for years. I'm talking 20 years. And then, when it got too old, they painted over it. And so, that's the way it was. That's how I grew up. You either had wallpaper in one of your rooms, or the dining room, or you had a painted room that had paint over wallpaper, but you had wallpaper. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Everybody had wallpaper. If you didn't have wallpaper, something was wrong with you. Something was wrong with your family. You had to have wallpaper.
I wasn't crazy about this yesterday.
What I'm doing in this part of the video is using the tape to assist me in making a straight line. As you can see, I'm painting up against that paint edge because I don't trust my hand that I'll make a straight line with such rigid geometric patterns such as this. So you just use tape. As you saw me lift the tape, I pull it straight upward. I don't pull it out toward my body because that will stress the wall covering significantly and may lift it or tear it. And so you want to lift upward, or if you're too high up, you pull the tape downward. You don't pull out. If you pull out, just think about the change in pressure on the wall covering. If you pull out toward yourself, you're really stressing that wall covering to come up off of the wall and follow your hand. But if you pull down or straight up, it doesn't put that kind of pressure on the wall covering, and it leaves it in place 99.9% of the time, except if you're working right near a seam. You might have a problem. In that case, you would simply put your other thumb onto the wall covering to hold it down.
Arriba, señor. Más arriba. Don't be the type of wallpaper installer that is afraid to make an aesthetic repair. It's not a repair on the material per se. It's perfecting the work. Look, this is a form of artistry, okay? And you have to be able to break out the paintbrushes and to render the job beautifully. And when I first started this, I wasn't able to do that. It came to me with the confidence of just being proficient at hanging paper. And then you realize that when you hang the paper, if it should have a defect in it, for example, a lot of Schumacher's have defects. It's hand-painted wallpaper. And you need to be able to match the colors and add a balloon where they forgot to add a balloon. I kid you not, if you take a look at my video on Schumacher just before the new year, you'll see I demonstrated on that hand-painted Schumacher that there was a defect in the material. The artist just didn't continue the pattern. I don't know, it was clowns or something. So we talked it over with the client, came up with the best solution. Okay, so what I want to do in this video is give the viewers confidence that they can make their project look beautiful with the right application of the right product, and confidence.